And what happens a lot of the times is, especially in business, is that people sacrifice short-term things that they want or need, and they run right over the top of people or things to get what they want. And they burn bridges, they cut corners. So they achieve financial success, sure. They get the money. But what they don't have is, hey guys, I wanted to do a special year-end video for all of you. Here's raising a glass to you, to your loved ones, to your family, to your friends. And so I wanted to have a special note for everybody. And after 25 years of being in this business, there's a lot of reflections that come around. I've owned a number of townhouses, multiplexes, apartment buildings. And honestly, I've had possibly every luxury that I could ever ask for or hope for. And the surprising truth is what I value most today has nothing to do with money. And most people don't even realize this, maybe until it's too late. And some perhaps may never do. Before you waste decades chasing the wrong things, maybe have a listen to my experience and see if it resonates with you. And when you're young, you think that wealth will solve everything. You really do. And after a while, you come to the realization that it really does not. And in my 20s and 30s, I was obsessed with money. I thought material wins and material things would essentially solve all the problems, you know. And I personally wanted to be a millionaire. I didn't even know how to get there. But what I did know is that it was going to be better than where I was, because at that time I had a lot of student loans. We were basically in poverty, and having moved from a different country into Canada, it was a lot to get over. So I needed to upgrade, maybe, you know, a better camera or a better car, you know, because my car, I actually drove a piece of junk. So it was a Honda Civic, and I rebuilt the engine from the start. So it was a lot of hands-on work, you know, and then after that car, I got an even better car. So every little advance that I got financially just went right back to improving my lifestyle. And of course, getting better experiences as well. Of course, it can all get away from you. So start with that starter home, for instance, and then you get a bigger house on the hill, or you get a better car, whatever it is. And for a lot of people, it'll just never stop, because the goalpost just keeps moving. You think, once I hit this number, I'll be happy, or once I get this bigger home, I'll be happy. And then when you hit the number, you're there for 10 minutes. You're happy for 10 minutes, for 10 days, but then you need to hit the next number. So I'll tell you, and I'll share with you that the moments of emptiness, despite my financial success, they came when those big paydays came, that big deal, or I got that big house, or when I sold my business. Those empty moments, they were there because everything went silent. Or even the time when I lost my business, when I lost my clients during the 2008 financial crisis. There's a lot of depression soon after that. Or even when I hit a big goal, there's also depression right after that. So because once you actually turn off the switch, once the deal's done, or once you lose a business, that which you defined yourself to be, that wire or that bank account, or that wire hitting your bank account, or those goals, it's quite lonely when the music stops. And what you realize when you look around is that the only thing that actually really mattered at that point, instead of chasing paychecks, is what you should have been doing the entire time, is chasing personal development. Because we're all broken, basically, from the time that we're young. We all have some sort of small trauma, adversities, maybe that bully picked on you in school, for whatever reason. So some of us have gone through a lot worse experiences than others. But the reality of it is that most of us don't really work on ourselves. We don't really take the time to reflect or work on ourselves. We point the fingers and blame others. We blame the market. We blame the economy. We blame that politician. Anybody that's not really us. So in your 20s and 30s, what you really need to do, and really the only thing that you have control over, is yourself. So focusing on things like relationships and networking and building trust, that is the most important thing that you can do. Because trust is like compound interest. It pays in spades. Trust compounds over time, like money would compound over time. And what happens a lot of the times is, especially in business, is that people sacrifice short-term things that they want or need, and they run right over the top of people or things to get what they want. And they burn bridges, they cut corners. So they achieve financial success, sure. They get the money. But what they don't have is anyone in their corner once the money stops or the music stops. So if that's you, and if you're sitting there with the money and no friends, maybe you need to look around at all this as it is. Because it's not necessarily failure, it's just feedback. That's the most important thing. It's the world telling you that your strategy of life is maybe broken, even if your strategy for money may be working. So wealth buys you options, but it doesn't buy meaning. So let me give you a couple of examples. I have a lot of friends that have a lot of money, a lot of clients as well. On average, they have millions of dollars. But what they sacrificed along the way was their health. Some of them sacrificed their relationships. Some of them sacrificed their peace of mind. They can't sleep at night. They're constantly under chronic stress, right? And I'll tell you one thing that money can't do. It cannot buy you peace of mind. You can buy a bed, but you can't sleep in that bed, if you know what I mean. So if you have a relationship with let's say your significant other, or your friends, or your kids, let's say you have a son like I do, and they're not calling you, they're not texting you, they don't want to be around. Well, that's on you. That's something that you actually didn't do. And if you're paying attention, and by paying attention, I mean stopping for reflection, stopping the music purposely, to look around, listen to what's happening, then you may realize that this is happening. So kids, my son, for example, kids, they say, need twice the time and half the money. And what the wealthy tend to do is, I see this all the time, is they tend to take them on trips and buy them things. Here's a trip to Disneyland, here's that iPad. But that doesn't work in the long run. It doesn't build relationships. It doesn't do it in any way whatsoever, either with family or friends. Because true wealth, as we all know, it's the same formula. And don't just take it from me. This is repeated over and over. And it's repeated itself over and over in history. So true wealth really equals time and the freedom and the health and love. There's a famous saying in Spain, which is salud, amor en pesetas y el tiempo para gastarlos, which means love, time and wealth, and the time to spend them. Because if you have no time, then there's no real wealth. So at 40, 50, maybe 60, the scoreboard changes, right? And the report card that you have at this point is going to be all sorts of things. It's going to be on your health. It's going to be on your wealth. It's going to be on your time. It'll be on your spirituality. It's going to be on your family, on your friends, and all the things that are truly, truly important. And if you don't think they are important, the world doesn't really care, because the consequences will still be there, whether or not you think they are important. But if you still have a scoreboard on all those things, you still have a report card that shows up. So if you're 100 pounds overweight, that's on you. And if you don't have a great relationship with your son or daughter, that's on you. If you're broke, that's on you. What happens is oftentimes people start to point and they look outward instead of inward. So, when it all starts to come together, you see that this is truly what ends up being the case. So over my life, I've had a number of coaches and mentors. And by the way, I don't really pay for them. I always find someone that has success in an area, and then I, usually contact them or email them, and I say, hey, can I meet you for a coffee? Can I buy you a lunch? I really find what you were saying interesting, and I'd like to learn a little bit more about you and see maybe perhaps how I can help you. And that's how I've met some of the coaches over my lifetime. Some of my coaches I've known for over 25 years. Perhaps that meeting turns into a month or two, or every 2 months, and so on and so forth. And one of these gentlemen that I've known for a long time is Ozzy Durock. And I've always wondered why, despite his financial success, that people were always wanting to be around him, even his family. So I've asked him a couple of times, what is, or I've observed him, and I wanted to know what exactly did you do for them, for family members that always wanted to be around you. And there are a number of things that he does that are very calculated and very intentional. One of the things that he mentioned is that he doesn't just do a business plan for his business. He does what he calls a family plan. So I started doing the same thing. Usually I would put my business plan out and see if I hit that goal the first year, and see if I hit that goal within 5 years or 10 years. And I started doing a business plan for my family. Where was I going to take my son? What kind of traditions am I going to build with this family plan? What are other critical milestones that I would like to have with my family? Where am I going to travel? So I started implementing those things myself. And it's one of the things out of Ozzy's playbook that I was able to find and implement in my own life. One of many, many things. And one of the things I do lately is we do a plan. We do a yearly trip out to Arizona, or we go do a road trip out between the United States, or sometimes we take the entire family on vacation out to Spain or in Portugal. So this is one of the traditions that we have. We have a yearly trip, a gathering, where we all take together and we take time to be with each other. And that's a tradition. And it's all intentional. It's very strategic, and it's very, very, very intentional. And so we put energy into that. And it takes action to be able to get there. So what matters to me now, after decades of building wealth, is just that. It's relationships, friends, and family, and certainly health. And I get these questions asked a lot from me, either during my shows or during talks that I do. What do you value more? Experiences, relationships? And I would say that the number one thing that I value the most nowadays are relationships. It's the only thing that really matters at the end of the day, is who's in your corner. Even business relationships. I can attribute most of my business success to relationships that I've had over my lifetime. Most of the breakthroughs were all through relationships that I've had. There was a time when I studied the top 5 regrets of people that were in hospices. So when my friend's dad passed away, I dug deep into this part of my personal development journey. And that's one of the things that I experienced during a Vipassana meditation. And one of the 5, here's some of the things. I'm gonna pull up the top 5 regrets that people have during their hospice visit. And number 1 is, I wish I had more courage to live a life that was true to myself and not a life that others expected of me. And I think that's a really important one, especially in an age of social media, family pressure, certainly a lot of narratives running around. It basically says that you've succumbed to other people's narrative of how you should live your life and not one that's true to yourself. The second one is that I wish I hadn't worked so hard. Now, this smacks me pretty hard, because for a lot of us, I think it smacks us pretty hard, especially a hard-driving ADHD entrepreneur like myself, or alphas. They're non-stop working, whatever you want to call them. But at the end of their life, that's it. I wish I hadn't worked so hard. Another one is I wish I had the courage to express my feelings. Now, this is mostly guys, I would say. I would say that I've been working quite hard on this, and it was hard to be vulnerable at first. Being the dad to a 3-year-old boy taught me a lot, and I'm trying to be more present, more empathetic. And I'm telling you, these are not things that you're normally wired for as a business guy, but it's something that I've had to learn over the years. Number 4 is I wish I had stayed in touch with my friends. And that's something that I've really worked on the past 5 years. Actually, I would say 10 years. It's really being close to my friends. This is the piece that I just talked to you guys about. This is why I do those yearly trips, because sometimes I invite my friends there as well. But I often take the time during the holidays and also in downtimes to visit my friends often and talk to them, keep in touch with them. And the number 5 most regret is that I wish I had let myself be happier. And this is an interesting one, I think, because I think a lot of people are in their heads all the time. And I just finished a really, really good book. It's called Awareness by Anthony DeMello. And I really, really love this book. He talks about, go back to the time when you were 3 or 4 or 5 years old, like my son is right now, when all kids are essentially happy. And what happens is you start to add a lot of stories and personal stories and a lot of stuff into your brain. Then you become de-happy. But he said happiness is just sitting there. You just have to unlearn a couple of things. And this is a lot of the things that I process during meditation time. And I get this question a lot on podcasts and shows, and certainly when I'm on stage, is what's your definition of success today versus when you were younger? And I think a lot of people in the beginning, it's financial success. Now people ask me that, and I say, when I get a moment with my 3-year-old son, and he looks at me and just wants to play, and I play with him, that's my definition of success. That I have the time to be able to spend with him, and I don't just run on an automatic mode where I disregard that call for connection. So that to me is true success, just the fact that they wanted me, or he wanted me to show up. That's success in my opinion, and much more powerful than financial success. By the way, being connected to your family and your kids or whatever it might be has nothing to do with money. But it does certainly help build wealth, because it's through connections that I was able to build a significant amount of wealth. So all that money does is buy you time. And essentially that's it, in a nutshell. And if you know how to use that time, that's really important. And that's what I've learned in my years of wealth, is money is certainly important, but what you do with it matters the most. So after 25 years of building wealth, here's what I know, is that money will never ever be enough, especially if you have something to heal, some sort of trauma or something that's nagging at you, or you feel empty, then money will never be enough. You'll continue to wanting to make it consistently, even though many blessings show up in your life. It'll never be enough because you won't be able to see it. So what matters is the life that you build with it and the people you share it with. My name is Richard Morrison, and thank you for watching. Have a wonderful and beautiful rest of 2025, and here's to your success in 2026. Cheers.